I'm Andrea Giles, and you're listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, episode number 156, Your Relationship to Trauma. Hello, and welcome to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, where courageous women learn not only to heal from their spouse's betrayal, but to become the boldest, truest, most decisive, and confident versions of themselves ever. If you know there's more for you than the life you're currently living, but don't quite know how to get there, you are in the right place. Stick around to learn how to create a life that will knock your own socks off. Is it possible? It is, and I'm here to show you how. I'm your host, Andrea Giles. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. Today, we're going to talk about your relationship to trauma. We're going to talk about relationships in general and what that means. And I'm really hoping that by the end of this episode, you will have some clarity for yourself of what your relationship to trauma is so that you can decide what you want to do with it. Okay? All right, here we go. We have relationships with many things. We have relationships, for example, with food, right? When you think about your relationship with food, what is it? What's your relationship with food? What's your relationship with your body? What's your relationship with, say, alcohol? What's your relationship with your spouse? Or if you're not married, your ex-spouse? What's your relationship to your children? It may be individual with each one, depending on them, right? On and on and on. There's many things that we have relationships with, the things that are meaningful, the things that are impactful. We have thoughts that we have about that thing. We have experiences with that thing, which then we have thoughts about, and it creates our reality around what we think our relationship is with that thing, okay? And today, we're going to talk about your relationship with trauma. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Why? I talk to so many people, and often this is what I hear, okay? I hear things like this. I've been working with my therapist for months, years, long time. My husband and I, we've been working with our therapist, and it only got me so far. It really showed me all the trauma. It showed me all the wounds. It showed me all the hurt and all the things that need to heal. But I'm not sure when we're going to get better. I'm not sure how to get better. And one therapist said that I probably hurt for 10 years. Someone told me that this week, that the therapist said that they might not actually feel better for 10 years. Okay? Those are some examples. You might have been told that it's going to be a long time until you kind of feel settled again, until you feel a little more safe in your body again. You may have been told that it's going to be dependent on him and what he does, how safe you feel. All right. I'm going to give a couple examples of why I decided to do this episode today based on some things that I've experienced and based on my experience now of almost 6 years of coaching and talking to so many people and hearing so many stories, okay? Story number one. When I was trying to heal, I felt like so much whiplash. It was just so much to heal from, so many things to heal from. And, you know, one thing that I don't do, that I have never done, is share the details of what my marriage looked like in my first marriage, what the infidelity was, all of that, mainly because I have children, right? I have children. He has family. Like, I don't think it's relevant except to know that I understand it, right? And that I understand, for example, elaborate lies. And I understand, for example, years of things happening right under my nose that I didn't know. Okay, I understand all of that. All right. Now, I had the opportunity to go to this clinic that the entire clinic was based on betrayal trauma. Everybody there, every single person there, that was their entire focus. And on the one hand, I think that it's a wonderful service, and I met amazing people there. I loved my therapist. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. I was in a group with another therapist that is amazing. Had a great experience overall with the people there, like very wholehearted, good people. The problem that I had is that it left me every time feeling like a victim, feeling like it was just going to be hard and that's just the way it's going to be. It almost highlighted the trauma. It almost highlighted this is really hard and really complicated and really messy and really painful. It's like it put an exclamation point on all of that again and again and again. And even though the women that I went with were women that were wanting to make their lives better, and I have kept up with some of them, and they have made their lives better. They have. And I have made mine better. What was missing for me, and I will just speak for me here, was I thought, now what? Like, I recognize that it's a mess. I recognize all the pain, but it kind of accentuated it for me rather than really giving me a way to think differently about the whole thing. So I've been thinking about this a lot because I talk to people who have a strong relationship with their trauma. They have a strong relationship to it. And I have people who will make comments from time to time about this space not being trauma informed. To be fair, I've only had one person say that, and it was in a podcast review. I'm going to throw that out there. That's the reality. I don't know this person. I've never worked with her, but I thought about that. Like, why would somebody say that? And here's what I think, okay? Being trauma informed, and just for the record, I actually got a full extensive certification in trauma, betrayal trauma, all kinds of different relationship trauma. I had to practice and do all kinds of things with that. I'm pretty well informed. But that said, why would somebody say that? Here's part of it. I think that when we are being fed stories about how traumatic things are, we look for sources that are going to validate that. We look for people that will tell us why it's okay for us. Not okay. It's all okay. All of it's okay. But justifying and validating why we're staying there. And justifying and validating all the pain and, yeah, it's going to take years, that kind of thing. And it can feel quite validating. And here's my problem with it. We become what we identify with. If we identify with the trauma, if we have a relationship with trauma that is, this thing happened and it changed my life forever, and I don't know that I'll ever get over it. It's too painful. I don't know that I'll ever let go. I don't know that I'll ever move past it. I don't know that I can ever be happy again. I don't know if I can ever trust again. It's going to be very difficult to move forward, right? I see this all the time. I see people who come and talk with me who it happened years ago and they still are carrying around this pain as if it happened yesterday. They're still carrying it around. I want you to know, if you're listening to this and this is landing as true for you, I hope you can hear through here. There is not an ounce of judgment, only love. Okay, there is no judgment coming from me. We live in a society that validates and highlights and showcases trauma. That's the world we're living in right now. On the one hand, I think that it's really good that we have woken up and are talking about it. We're talking about trauma. Okay, I really think that's great. I do. But what is missing is the piece where we talk about what we're going to do about it and how to change our relationship with it so that we can move forward. Now, I'm going to give you another very real example that as time has gone by, I've thought about the significance of this moment. Now, I think in an earlier podcast, I shared this story because it was so pivotal. It was so pivotal in my life. But there was something that happened that was profound. The day I found out that my first husband died, I'm going to recap for those of you new around here that don't know this. I'll give a little bit of history here. So his family had a family reunion the weekend before he died, and he had the kids. I went and got them on a Sunday morning, and I stayed back for a couple extra days. And we lived in the Bay Area. He had driven back. It was out of state that we were. He drove back, and I stayed back and got on the road on a Wednesday morning and was 4 hours into my drive going through the desert in Nevada when I got this phone call. My phone kept ringing over and over and over from this number in San Jose. And I finally, like, what? Who is this? Why did they keep calling? So I finally picked it up, and for whatever reason, I did not put it on speakerphone, and I'm so glad that I didn't. But the woman on the other side was one of the county workers, and she's actually the person that went to the site and declared his death and the time and all of that. And it was her that kept calling me to inform me that he had died. I want you to picture this, okay? I had 6 kids in the car with me. I was alone. It was me with my kids. I was 4 hours from where I'd come from. The reunion was in Utah. I was 9 hours from home. I was in the middle of the desert, nothing in sight, no gas station where I could pull over, nothing as far as you could see. Got this phone call, and as you can imagine, it rocked my world. There were so many thoughts going through my mind, so much shock, so much, it was just so much. And again, as a reminder, we had only been divorced for 7 months. It was all a lot to take in a very short time. And I remember I got out of my car and I was talking to this woman like, what? Are you sure? Are you, just talking with her and looking at my sweet babies in the car and knowing in that moment that their life just changed forever and that we could never go back, and knowing that they would never see their dad again, knowing that I would never see him again, this man that I had been married to for 16 years, and we kind of grew up together. I was 19 when we got married. So much, there was so much. And this woman pulled up, got out of her car, and she walked straight up to me, right in my face, and she said these words to me: I'm here. For whatever you need, I'm here. I relayed to her what had happened. And she was a rock. She was rock solid. Rock solid. She was calm as day. She offered assistance. She offered for me to come to her home, this stranger. She offered for me to come to her home. We went to her home. We spent the night in her home. And the next morning, she drove me home. This stranger drove me home 9 hours. And we put her on a plane and she flew back. Why do I tell you this? What's the significance? In that moment, I had a relationship in that moment with shock, with horror, with grief that hadn't even set in yet. So many intense emotions. And this woman offered me another view. She offered me strength. She offered me courage. She offered me, you're going to be just fine. You're going to be okay. Those kids, they're going to be fine. You know what? We got to their house, and rather than everyone moping around, they played with my kids. They gave stuffed animals to my twins. They played games with them. They played the piano. She told her children what was going on, and they all played. They made us an amazing dinner. It was exactly what we needed. We did not need someone to remind us how devastating. We did not need someone to cry, to tell us that our life would never be the same. I already knew that. Just like you already know the devastating blow that you are experiencing. You already know that. You don't need someone to tell you it, right? What she offered to me was something to hold on to, another view. This is not it for you, Andrea. No way. This is not it for you. This is not it for your kids. You're going to be just fine. Right? I needed her, exactly her, to show up that day. And what I've learned since, because she told me, is that that was not her normal demeanor. She says she was really dealing with anxiety during that time, and that she was feeling really anxious, and that usually she would be more emotional and reactive. And in that moment, she knew that I needed her strength. I needed her courage and strength and wisdom. I needed her exactly how she showed up. Okay, so back to your trauma relationship, your relationship to trauma. I have yet to work with a single person who has not felt traumatized by it. I have yet to work with one. I was traumatized by it. It was all a shock. It was all like this wild, like, are you kidding me? Like I never ever imagined, right? I know you all understand that to your core. Here's what I want you to hear me say. How you identify with this trauma is going to determine how you grow, how you heal, how you live your life. Okay? All of you have dealt with hard things. I look at my little girl who's 2, and she is my only child that has not lost a parent. I have 12 kids between the two of us, and all of them but her have lost a parent. And so sometimes I think, she'll be the one that doesn't have to experience all the hard things that the rest of our kids have. And you know what their reality is? She'll experience her own. She'll have her own heartbreak. She'll have her own trauma, because we do not get through life without pain. We do not. It's part of the deal. I don't know what it will be for her. I don't know what it will be, but she will have her own crosses to bear. She will have her own hard things to deal with. We do not get through without it. None of us get to adulthood without trauma, and none of us live as adults without experiencing more in various ways. It can show up in lots of different ways. Infidelity is one of the ways it has shown up for you. This is it. This is how it has shown up for you. We don't get to pick. None of us draw straws and go, I won. I got the infidelity straw, right? None of us want it. None of us want it, right? But just like none of us want death. None of us want illness. None of us want poverty, right? This is what's yours, my dear, dear listeners. It's what's yours. It's what's yours. And how you identify with it is going to be the difference between carrying it around like a burden that is so heavy and setting it down and reclaiming your life. It can be this thing that broke me open, and really pushed me to surrender to something bigger than me. Getting out of my own way, out of my own head, and into my body, into listening to truth. Here's the thing. You have all kinds of people that, if you wanted to, will tell you how terrible it is, how awful, how painful, right? That you should just leave. How could somebody do that to another person? You can go in any Reddit page. You can go in any Facebook group. It is ample. It is there. So easy. There are support groups where you can commiserate, where you can talk about it. And here's the thing that I have a problem with. What's actually going to help you move forward is not those commiserating spaces. What's going to help you move forward is looking yourself in the mirror and going, and what am I going to do about it? If it's all on me, if it's all on how I'm going to choose to see this, how I'm going to choose to let it work for me, let it break me open. Let it soften hardened parts. Let it crack open and let out parts that have not been let out. Let it be an opportunity to build from scratch, right? We get to decide that. We get to decide that. As I grow in my mission and what I'm here to do and in what I believe, there is such a narrative around infidelity that feeds that story of trauma, of pain, of suffering. That is not what I'm here for. That is not what I'm here for. There are plenty of places that you can go for that. I am here to help my clients, to help you change your relationship to the pain by talking about it differently, by thinking about it differently, by opening up to it rather than resisting it, by surrendering to this whole experience. That's what I'm here for. You have this thing in front of you that has the potential to be the biggest teacher of your life. if you are open to it, if you are willing. How you identify with the trauma is going to make the difference between what your life will be in 1 year, in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. Okay? I want to be like my dear Julie, who was the woman who stopped that day. And if I were standing in front of you, I want you to hear me. I want you to hear me. This thing, it doesn't define you. This thing has no bearing on your worth or your value. This thing has no bearing on what a magnificent life you are still meant to have. This thing has no bearing on the kind of relationship that you can have, even with the person who betrayed you. What determines all of that is how you decide to stare it down and get to work and go all in on this experience. Yes, of course, so much is dependent on what he chooses to do. Okay, but that comes down to, is this a wise person to stay with, or is this somebody that is not going to do this work with me, who will not be cracked open? Right? Either way, you win. Either way, you win. Okay? Either way. What's your relationship? What do you think about it? Do you focus more on the trauma and the pain of it, or more on where you want to go, who you want to be, what you want your life to be, and spend more time in belief and pursuit of what you are creating out of this experience? This is what I have for you today, my dear listeners. If this has spoken to you, I invite you to come and apply to be in my program. Applications are open. This is the work we do. Okay? It is not some support group where we sit around and commiserate. We get to work getting our life back, reclaiming it, reestablishing it, getting very intentional about it, getting the answers that we need, growing our emotional capacity to go and live again on our terms. I want this for you. Come apply. Come apply. There's nothing out there like this. There's nothing out there like this. I was in different spaces. I spent a lot of money to be in those spaces. My space is very different, and I can't tell you how many clients have said this was more helpful than any therapy I did. If you go look through some of my podcast reviews, you'll see people put that in there. Some clients, some listeners, that it was more helpful to them than the therapy that they paid so much money for. Go apply. Let's shift your relationship out of very focused on the trauma and more focused on where you're going. Okay? It doesn't mean that the trauma wasn't real at all. It doesn't mean that we don't have to face it head on. That is part of it. Part of it is surrendering to it instead of fighting against it. But when we stop resisting and allow all of this to be here, that's when we start to heal. That's when we start to move. That's when the world starts to open up for us again. I want that for you. Apply, come see me inside, and I'll see you next time. All right, take care. Thank you for listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast. If you would like to be kept in the know about upcoming free classes, new podcast episodes, and other ways of working with me, go subscribe to my weekly email. You can subscribe at andreagiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. Again, it's andreagiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. I will see you next time.